2008?
No.
If you turn the page to page 2, there's a section that's called contract provisions.
Yes.
And specifically, I'm interested in number 2. And it says, and I quote, appointment and removal of chief executive is a governmental function, end quote. You see that?
Yes, I do.
In fact, that's the analysis that the Coward theory is bottom on, isn't it?
Yes, I do.
The reason why you can't find successive county councils unless there's a legislative grant is because the hiring and firing of administrator is a governmental function, right?
Correct.
And one council can't bind the ability of the next council's ability to exercise discretion about that authority.
Correct.
Will you turn to page 3 for me, Mr. Brown? There's a section that says value to contract demand, and then there's a section that says B1 cause. And what I'd like to know is that 3A, that's referring to the section of the contract that's termination for cause. Is that right?
I would suspect that's true. That's typically the way I would do that.
And in order to terminate somebody under the contract for cause, and the contract being the master employment agreement, there would have to be a conviction of a crime of personal gain or moral turpitude in your analysis.
Right, and now that you've shown that to me, it refreshes my memory on something you asked me earlier today when we were talking about termination for cause. Termination for cause in many circumstances has a generic, it's a generic term for do you have any reason to terminate. Termination for cause in the context of this contract means those specific 3 provisions.
Exactly.
So that may have been a disconnect between a question you asked me and the answer I gave you.
You see that? We're building bridges. Under your
They
recommendations,
won't be long enough, Councilman.
under section 6, there's a section called recommendation. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
And it says A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, right?
Yes.
And that's not meant to be a singular recommendation. That's meant to be different options, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And for example, one of the things you say is, well, you can write back a letter and say there is no anticipatory breach. And then if you go down to number or letter F, you say settle with them and pay out his contract, right?
Yes.
And one of the options that you identified for them was you can settle with him and buy out his contract.
Yes. I think that whole section is consistent with my prior testimony.
Okay. If you turn to Exhibit 27 for me. What I'd simply like to know in relation to this is, these are your notes from your telephone conversation with Ron Wilson on November 11th, 2008, correct?
Yes.
And if you look in the second page of that, at the top, there's little lines, sort of, I don't want to call it bullet points, call it something else, a line, I guess. And it says, and I quote, full release of county and council members, end quote, right? And in fact, it's true, isn't it, that under the master employment agreement, it doesn't require a release of the council members. It only requires a release of the county, right?
Well, again, you have to understand that what I was dealing with was creating a separate contract that would provide X compensation to Mr. Preston in exchange for a release. I was not trying to do something that mirror imaged the employment contract. So this may be consistent with or more than or less than the employment contract. I don't know. We were trying to structure a complete agreement.
Turn to Plaintiff's Exhibit 1 for me, and let's look at that real quick.
Exhibit what?
1.
Got it.
Turn to page 4. If you put your finger back on page 3, section 3B, that starts on section 3, is a section about termination without cause, right?
Yes.
And underneath that section, there's a section, subsections, letter E, right?
Yes.
And under letter E, it says, and I quote, contemporaneously with the delivery of all severance pay and entitlements herein above set out, the administrator agrees to execute and deliver to the county a release, releasing the county of all further claims that the administrator may have against the county, end quote, right?
Correct.
Where in that paragraph does it use the term council members?
I don't see it in there.
Doesn't appear, right?
No.
So the severance agreement, by contrast, which is the loose document that I have for you, and I lost mine, so
Plaintiff's exhibit number 7.
I believe that's correct, Tom, but I truly don't have it in front of me.
My copy indicates so.
Under Plaintiff 7, paragraph 6 is the section where Mr. Preston is releasing claims. Isn't it?
Yes.
And under that section, it's not limited to just the county. It also includes everything against the county of any of its council members, employees, managers, officers, board members, or any of its affiliated parts, entities, or subsidiaries, as well as the successors and assigns of those entities in person by reason of any claim, on and on and on, right?
Yes.
And that's broader, is it not, than the master employment agreement?
Again, I think these two documents serve different purposes. So I will agree with you that one is broader than the other. They don't serve the same purpose.
The severance agreement's release is broader than what's required under the master employment agreement, section 3, subsection 2, subsection E.
Again, I would agree with you, but I would point out that I think you're comparing apples to oranges.
I know that's what you do, but I just want to know the answer to that question.
Yes.
Paragraph 34, Mr. Brown.
Or you mean defendant's number 34?
Yes, that's what I
Okay.
mean. This is the opinion of Cindy Wilson versus Joey Preston, right?
Yes.
Went all the way up to the Supreme Court, right?
Yes.
Decided in June of 2008. Yes?
Yes.
Turn to page 5 of that opinion. In the middle of the page, it reflects that all the way back in 2005, during her deposition, that Ms. Wilson had already received, and I quote, 59,000 pages of documents from the administrator. End quote. Do you see that?
Where are you referring to? Page 5? Yes, I see it. Yes.
That's all I wanted to ask you about.
I don't know whether it's true or not.
Well, it's in a Supreme Court opinion, right? If you look back at Defense Exhibit 31. Actually, if you do me a favor, if you go to Defense Exhibit 30 real quick, I have one question for you about that.
This is going to be your last set of questions.
I have 3 minutes. Mr. All right, on November 18th, 2008, you sent a letter to Ralph Hoskins.
Yes.
And in the very bottom of that paragraph, it references a $24,000 Social Security issue. You see that?
Yes.
And basically, you're writing there that, hey, listen, I don't understand this, and you don't understand that, right?
I didn't understand it, don't today, no.
All right, if you turn to 31, does 31 reflect a finalized settlement agreement that you sent to Ron Wilson on November 18th?
I know it was the last revision, I shouldn't say that. It's what I viewed as the final version of the settlement agreement.
And on November 18th of 2008, you sent the last draft as of 4:54 p.m.
Yes.
Right? And that was literally 1 hour and 6 minutes before the county council meeting started.
I had no idea.
So when the county council members said they had never seen this before, that was true, wasn't it?
I don't know if the council members have said that, and I don't know whether it's true.
In Defense Exhibit 33, real quickly, in the very middle of it, there's a letter. Let me just show it to you. I may approach her. This is a letter from Rob Hoskins to Tom Brackett. It's dated October 27th of 2008.
You say it's exhibit number 33?
Yes.
What's the date of the letter? 23rd?
27th. I thought I wanted to ask you is this letter from October 27th, 2008
Okay.
to you from Rob Hoskins.
Yes.
It specifically addresses or talks about that issue relating to the exception to Carroll, about which we talked about.
Yes.
Mr. Bright, I sense from you that I may have asked an inartful question that caused you to think I was asking something that I wasn't. If that happened and it upset you, I give you my sincere apologies. I thank you for your time, and it's good to see you.
Yes, sir. Ginger.
Mr. Bright,
Yes.
were you asked by Anderson County Council for any advice or opinion on whether certain members of the county council should or should not have voted on Mr. Preston's severance agreement?
No.
In your file, when there's an indication that you have highlighted portions of a statute or a case, does that mean that you read only the highlighted portion?
Oh, no. It's typically what I will do is I'll read an entire document, and things that either are extremely important to me at that time, or something I may want to remember, or maybe I want to refer back to, I will typically highlight, but I'll read the whole thing.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. All right, we're going to recess at this time. We'll resume in the morning. Any problems starting at 9 o'clock?
No, Your Honor, may we excuse this witness from the trial?
Any objection? No, Your Honor, you can see this ready to go. You make your point.
Thank you.
All right, any problem at 9 o'clock in the morning?
No, sir.
All right. 9 o'clock, we're in recess until that time. Thank you very much.